know we peeping, y'all.
What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. And as always, please hit that subscribe button. As you guys know, it's free. And that enables us to keep coming to you guys as often as possible with as many of the icons and the G's in the game as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, talk about us, be about us, each one, teach one, share it, get it out there. Unique Access Entertainment. Now, today we have the honor and privilege of being joined by one of my friends, somebody I've known for probably 20 years or more now, at least. Man, FredWreck, thank you for coming through, sir.
Come on, Soren. Anytime for you, Mr. Baker.
Yes, honor and privilege.
Soren did my first interview, I think.
I believe I did. That's why I said, when I think about these things, I'm like, man, I've known so many people now for like 20 plus years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And in addition to that history, which we'll get to in a minute, Fred is doing some work on the Mount Westmore project. It's got E40, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, and Too Short. So, Fred, I know it's still in progress, but what have you been doing, and what can you tell us about what's happening with it?
Well, it sounds amazing. The music is crazy. And I was just talking to somebody about it earlier. I'm like, man, it's something really dope for everyone to want to listen to. It's like your favorite MCs from the West Coast and your favorite hip hop artists, really. You know what I mean? Doing a record together, and it's just like, and to get to work with everybody, and it's like all of us producers getting back together again to work with each other. Superfly, Ant Banks. Battle Cat, so it's like, the same group of people. We even got DJ Premier working on something for it. So yeah, it's really cool, man. It's like all my favorite MCs and all my heroes, and I get to work with them on one record together. So
I was going to say that's amazing because of course you've done extensive work with Snoop and his camp, and one of the earlier things I remember, you did some E40 remixes early on in the game.
Yeah.
And then just obviously Cube with West Side Connection and his solo work, and now getting Short in the fold more. It's just amazing. So given that you've worked with so many of these dudes for so long, I want you to explain on the production side, how have they been able to like remain so sharp and remain so potent moving into what they're working on now for 20 plus years?
You know what? I think it's because each one as an individual always did the music that they wanted to do. They didn't really follow any trends. You know what I'm saying? So, and like Snoop, he can do anything. He could do a country record. He could do actually, he hasn't done a country record, but he's done one with Willie Nelson, but I'm not talking about a whole country record, but he could do gospel. He does rap. He's doing an oldies record that sounds crazy, straight oldies. And then you got Ice Cube. He's still always gonna be Ice Cube, man. His pen and his fucking raps are crazy. You know what I'm saying? You're always gonna want to hear an Ice Cube record. Like, who doesn't want to hear Ice Cube? And then you got E40 and Too Short. They're bringing a whole nother flavor to it. Each one has their own flavor, so it's really dope. All of them on one record together, and all of them finding a space for each other too. You know what I'm saying? And complimenting each other. It's pretty dope. It's a challenge too. It's a challenge because, as a producer, you want everybody to be happy with the project. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the challenge of getting, Cube don't like the way his vocals sound, or Snoop is cool with it, but Short's not cool with, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's what's making it better, is because everybody's like putting all their thoughts and their love behind doing the record and making sure that everybody's happy with it. So, there's going to be a lot of songs that don't make it on there, on the record, but they have more than, enough to, right now, as they're going to make a dope album, dope as fuck.
Yeah, and I think it's just amazing because, like you, I've known these guys for so long, and to just listen to how great they sound. Like, Short's played me stuff recently. I always know 40's got stuff, and then of course with Snoop and Cube, it's just crazy that they're still so razor sharp and still doing what they do at the high level. That's
Yeah.
the most impressive thing.
And honestly, it's an honor to get to work with all four of them on the record, and with my, with everybody else, with DJ Pooh, with Superfly, with all the engineers and stuff that we have that we work with. Snoop's compound is really dope to work at. We've been doing most of the mixes and stuff over here, so it's been a fun project to work on. I can't wait for you guys to get to hear everything.
Yes. Now that's coming soon, but you've got a lot of amazing history in the game. So I wanted to make sure people were aware of some of this. And one thing that I always thought was interesting that I wanted you to explain for people that didn't understand it is that you actually worked at a record company with MCA back in the day. So
Yeah.
what I wanted you to explain how that kind of affected your trajectory and maybe helped or hurt you as you were getting into the business as a producer.
Well, I started out as a producer before that, but I had the opportunity to work at MCA for a friend of mine named Brian Sampson. He was in the radio promotions, and he used to come up to the radio station I DJ'd at and promote records. So he was like, "Yo, come work at the record company." So I worked there in the mail, but basically in the mail room. Like I put the boxes with the records in there and send them out, but it was fun for me because I got to see what it was like to work in a record company. And he would break me off money from projects and stuff as much as I could, as much as he could. But then Hank Shocklee from the Bomb Squad became the president. And me and him really hit it off because he was like a hero to me. You know what I'm saying? I love Hank Shocklee's work. And like, man, public is like, as a producer, like back in those days, it was like Dr. Dre, the Bomb Squad, and Marley Marl basically were like the heroes of producers. You know what I'm saying? So to get to how can I say this? To get to be up there and just be on the other side of the workings of the music business. Like I always knew I wanted to be a producer, but to be up there and work with them up there, and then after a while of me and him hitting it off, and he asked me to be an A&R at MCA, and that was pretty cool too. Just like that helped me learn how to make records as far as the business side of it, how to put a budget together, how to book studios, how to do all that stuff. When before I was just kind of like making beats at the house, like, you know what I'm saying? Trying to sell a beat to a beat tape here, give somebody make $500 from this guy or $1,500 from this guy to get on a record for whatever, you know what I'm saying? That taught me the other side of it.
Yeah. And then, cause I think that's important, because one thing when I asked people about working with you over the years, whether it was the Bums or Doggy's Angels, didn't matter. They always like, something was different about Fred, and even X has told me that too. So do you think it's because you had the record company side of it, or you had the budget things in mind, or you knew how to like structure these other things outside the music that made you stand out in a different way to people?
No, I mean, that was, no, I think what made me stand out is just my love for music. You know what I'm saying? And my appreciation for the heroes of people that I used to look up to, that I used to love their music, and me trying to use my influences in my music that I was creating. You know what I'm saying? Like if you listen to other producers, they were influenced by some other producers and artists that came before them. So my music is like a mix of me liking Parliament and Funkadelic, but also liking, LL Cool J and me also liking Marvin Gaye, or, my heroes that I used to like their music as a producer. So I think that's the way I stand out. How I made records and keeping them in the budget, that's what kept me in the business. You know what I'm saying? To be able to go to a record company and when they give you $250,000 to work on an album, you don't fuck it off. You know what I'm saying? And you make a great record. That's being a producer now. That's not being a beat maker or a writer. As far as a lot of artists don't understand, that kids that are starting out and making beats and shit, that they don't understand. They're also a songwriter. So you're not just making beats, you're writing music. So that's one whole side of it. And as a producer, you're in charge of like a team of people Like you got engineers, you got to take care of the studio, you got to make sure your musicians get paid, you got to make sure the music is great, you got to turn it into the record company and the format that, you know what I'm saying, that they want. So that's the other side of it.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of different things, and I think that's why I wanted to ask you, because I don't think people, if you're going to produce like you do or like the other great producers do, it's not just this very like surface level thing. Like it's a much deeper level of commitment to the music. And I
Well,
think,
during those times, that's what it was. Now it's easier for producers. Now a producer can just make music on his laptop. He can put it on YouTube. It's not the same business of making music like when I was starting out making music, where you had to go to the record company, you had to go and fill out a budget and go, you know what I'm saying, go to the finance department, go to the administration department, and they got to give you all these forms that you got to have musicians sign, and you know what I'm saying. Now you just do the shit yourself.
it's a very different world.
You don't have an excuse now. You know what I mean? We had excuses back then, like, man, we can't get in the studio. We need $8,000 more, and they don't give it to us. Fuck, what are we gonna do? You know?
Yeah, it's a very different world.
Yeah.
One of the first big records that I remember you doing was the Lighter Shade of Brown remix, the Dip Into My Ride.
Yeah.
With King Tech.
Yeah, me and King Tech, yeah, and Joe Quicks.
So given that and you did a lot of work via or directly and indirectly with King Tech over the years, but now you're doing or more famous for quote unquote, even though you've done so many things, I wanted to get how did like the King Techs of the world in the mid 90s approach things kind of that helped you learn that's different from what you later saw from, say, the gangster rappers that you did a lot of work with? Like, how did that shape or mold you in a way that maybe was different?
King Tech and Sway, when I first met them, were like, I met them DJing on the radio. And when I first met them, I was like, damn, these two guys are pressing up their own records, because they were, you know, they had their own records that they had. I think they had a record called Follow Me Now. And I was like, damn, these dudes got their own records and they like doing their own shit together. They're like a team, you know what I'm saying? They were like handling their business. They weren't just like out there trying to like, as me as a producer or a DJ, just trying to get a gig here and a gig there, you know what I mean? So they were really inspiring people to me, you know, and they got on the radio station at the same time that I did, but they were allowed to play all hip hop records. So, you know, of course, when you're up at the station during those times, if you met other people that were into hip hop like you, you're like, yo, I love that record. You start sharing shit. Like me and Joe Quicks and King Tech, we started having a relationship through records and shit. Then they had a label and they had some artists that they were working on. So that was, you know, and back in those days, there weren't like a lot of people trying to hire hip hop producers. You know what I'm saying? So when you heard about somebody that had a little money to put out an album and they were working on beats, you're like over there with your drum machine trying to play beats for them. So Tech and Sway were always really good about like as entrepreneurs of hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And then they had the radio station and all that stuff. So it was like a group of people that you just wanted to be around. You know what I'm saying? Me and Joe were more into like going record shopping and making beats and stuff like that. And then Tech was more like, all right, we got to make the radio show. We got to do drops. You know, he was like producing the whole thing. Like we got to, when the artists come in, make sure you guys have some beats in the back room. So when they leave, they can do 8 bars and talk about our radio show. And then we start making these radio show intros and they have like Biggie on there and, you know, whoever. And so he taught us like the producing side of it and how to like technically put things together and make the shit sound clean and shit like that. And then Sway, he was like a Barry Gordy kind of, you know, vibe. You know what I'm saying? He was like and Sway was also the guy that you'd go to if you like, man, Tech wants me to do this, and he'd be like the mediator between all of us. Oh man, Joe's doing this, man, go talk to Joe, tell him he's playing the music too loud or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, and he was also like the guy that, you know, Sway would be like, yo, I got the record company people coming over here. He had good relationships with all the record company people and he knew how to network really well. So I learned the networking from him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was a really cool group of people to start out with and get to work with.